Yo, check it out. We're about to dive into some crazy American history that'll blow your mind. Picture this: a bunch of dudes dressed up like Native Americans, sneaking onto ships in the dead of night. What happens next? You won't believe it. So, here's the deal. Back in the day, Britain was all up in the American colonies business, slapping them with some serious taxes after this big war they had with the French and Native Americans. The colonists were like, whoa, hold up, we didn't sign up for this. But the Brits weren't listening then. In 1773, Britain drops this bombshell called the Tea Act. It's basically giving this one company, the British East India Company, total control over tea sales in the colonies. The colonists were not having it. They were all fired up about taxation without representation, which is just a fancy way of saying they were being taxed without having a say in the government. Tea became this huge symbol of everything that was messed up about British control. It was like, every time they saw a cup of tea, they were reminded of how unfair things were. The colonists were getting madder by the day. So, on December 16, 1773, these guys called the Sons of Liberty decided to do something about it. They were like, we're not gonna take this lying down. They came up with this wild plan to protest. They dressed up as Mohawk Native Americans. Yep, you heard that right. And snuck onto these ships in Boston Harbor that were loaded with British tea. Now, here's where it gets really crazy. These dudes started chucking tea overboard like it was going out of style. We're talking 342 chests of tea just floating in Boston Harbor. Can you imagine how much tea that is? It's like if you tried to make a cup of tea out of Boston Harbor, you'd be sipping the strongest brew ever. The best part? Nobody got hurt. Well, except for the tea, I guess. But it was a huge deal for Britain. They lost a ton of money, and they were not happy about it. Britain's reaction: they went full-on strict parent mode. They passed these laws called the Coercive Acts, but the colonists called them the Intolerable Acts because, well, they were pretty intolerable. They shut down Boston Harbor and started cracking down on everything. It was like being grounded, but for a whole city. But here's the thing. This tea party, which, by the way, wasn't the kind of party with cookies and crumpets, actually brought the colonies together. It was like suddenly everyone realized they were all in this together. Colonies that hadn't been getting along started talking to each other, united against British rule. This whole tea dumping business turned out to be a huge turning point. It was like the spark that lit the fire of the American Revolution. People started thinking, hey, maybe we don't need Britain telling us what to do all the time. Even today, the Boston Tea Party is a big deal in American history. It's like this symbol of standing up to the man, fighting for freedom, and not taking any crap from anyone. When people talk about resisting unfair treatment or fighting injustice, they often bring up the Boston Tea Party. So, there you have it, the story of how a bunch of angry colonists, some tea, and a harbor full of water changed the course of history. Next time you're sipping on some tea, just remember, it could have been floating in Boston Harbor if those